y'all, today I'm going to be showing you how to take up the straps on a very intricately beaded top or dress or whatever it is. Now these are sewn in, these are pronged rhinestones, and those usually can be a little scary. So you can see on one side I had already taken off the stones, and that's where we're going to start. Literally just pick one at the top, pick one tiny stone. See, that side is done. That's what our goal is. And then our one on the right is what we're going to be transforming it to. So first you got to take off these stones that are in the way. Literally just find one, go underneath it with a pair of tiny scissors, cut it off, and see what happens and start pulling it out. Eventually you're going to have a thread where you can see kind of the red one by my finger. That's where I had actually stopped. So you're just going to pull them out one by one until you're good with it, and then you're going to take that thread and tie it in a big knot and cut it off. And you're all good with that. It's really a lot easier than it seems. Just pick one and pick it closest, or I guess farthest away from the attachment side. So that would be at where that seam is right in the middle, because that's furthest away from where we're going to end up resewing it, which is kind of the edge of that bottom pink flower. So yeah, that is step number one. Now number two. Oh, actually, yeah. Number two, this is actually a really important one. We're going to break down how to actually thread a needle. So this is some embroidery thread I had, and it was easiest to show you on camera because it's really slick and really easy to put through the eye. So the eye is that hole in the needle, and you're just going to shove it through. There we go. Step one, pull it out the back. So now it is through our needle, and you're going to pull out a pretty good sized tail, because remember, we're going to be doing some hand sewing to adjust this. So once it is through, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. I like to keep mine about 1.5 feet long, maybe like 18, 19 inches, 20 inches. So it's going to be double layered. You go to the end, wherever you cut it, and then you're going to have two little tails that will come out here-ish. Here. There you go. Oh, they met. Perfect. So you're going to take those, you're going to wrap them around in a circle, pull them through, and you're going to make a knot. Don't worry about getting it towards the complete end of the thread. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I gotta get it at the end of the thread. Well, you can always cut off excess thread on one side. So, of course, I had a terrible time pulling it through. So you get one knot. I always make 3 of these. And so when you make your second one or your third one, you have to make sure when you're making that little loop that the first knot is inside that loop, because you want it to overlap and build up and make it stronger and sturdier so that way it doesn't pull through the thread. So it takes a little bit of practice if you've never done it before, but luckily thread is very inexpensive, and this skill just comes with time. If you can't get it right away, just keep practicing, and I'd love to help you with tips. So here's the third one, and you can see, oh, I got it out of there, so I gotta push it back in, and here it is. Oh, you can see they split, so then I had to do it again. See, that's what happens when you tie it out. Sometimes if they're close enough together, you can wrap them both in the same loop like this one is, and then you just make a giant knot. Now, there's no knot that is too big. So, I think I missed one. It fell out that time, so we had to do it again. This is embarrassing. I'm just kidding. It's not embarrassing. It's kind of funny. I didn't want to retake it, so here we are. There we go. Giant knot. It is not coming out anything. That is staying in your fabric. So that is how you thread a needle. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch the shoulders up and together. So they typically taper, so the very top of your shoulder where that seam was is usually the narrowest part. So you want to make sure it's even on both sides, and that way the length is not going to be compromised. So I had already measured where I wanted it. I'm going to pinch it off, and I'm going to go straight in the middle. And really, this is just a bunch of hand sewing from here on out. So I'm going to speed it up in a second so we can still see the process, but it's not so boring. But here you can see me threading it through, pull the needle, there you go, anchor that first stitch in, eventually. Yeah, it gets a little caught up. If it does, always try and pull it through on the other side and keep that string straight and taut. There you go. So we're just going to wrap it around. We're going to sew all those edges down so that it is able to kind of meet. We're going to sew across, and then afterwards we're going to sew this little piece down to make a little pocket, but you will see all those steps. I'm just not going to narrate every single one because, there's not a whole lot to say. It's more of a video to watch, so if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to answer them. And I will let you enjoy this. Now, if you feel pretty confident at this point, you're like, I think I got what's going on, then absolutely pause the video, go adjust your dress, your shirt, your pants, whatever it is that is stoned with prongs, because pronged beads or rhinestones are kind of scary sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified the first time I worked with them, so I understand. Later on in this video, if you want to come back to it, or if you're going to continue watching the video, later on we're going to go over a few other adjustments I made to this dress. And the first one was with the beads that I had actually taken off. I had decided to see if there were any that had fallen out because they're just held up by two different prongs you can see in here. So I really worked to pop those rhinestones back into the prongs of the excess ones that I had taken off the dress, just to try and complete the pattern a little bit, make it a little more put together. And then there was an issue with the zipper at the end that I ended up hand sewing. So I'm going to speed it up through here, but you'll be able to see the rest of it. We are back, and I had noticed a thread, so I'm going to show you how I just tuck that back in. This was not my thread, this was already on the dress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a needle and thread that I've already threaded again, and I'm actually going to do an anchoring stitch. So I'm going to try and get this to lay flat because I can't get it back in the dress. So here we are. We're going to knot it again. So if you need practice with knotting things, this is the video for you. And it does take a little bit, so don't worry if you feel like you can't get it or you're embarrassed. Always ask for help. Always ask for help. So I've put it through, and we're going to tie it. We're going to make the loop here. So remember how our thread, where needle's double layered? We're still going to keep that double layer, but now we're going to include this guy in it. So the knot that we made before is still there, but now we're just including this in the thread that's on our needle, and I'm still tying it the same way. I'm trying to do the 3, but probably gonna do 5. That's how the cookie crumbles today, I guess. And eventually I'll pop back in the frame. I need to start narrating these as I do them, and I think that would be better. Maybe I will. Maybe in the next video. I'm trying to think of a video for after Miss America. What should my first thing I sew be after Miss America? I already have a few ideas, but I'm interested to see what you guys think. So here we are. You can see how it is tied in there, and it's able to be really taut. We've got a few threads. I'm not sure. Yep, there we go. And the scissors. Little trouble with the scissors, Charlie Brown. Okay. We are back in business. So I cut the tail as short as possible because you don't want to make it too short. You don't want the knot to slip off, but you want to make it short so it's not going to pop out that much. So I pulled it taut to see where it would land, and about right there. And I wanted to pull it in just a little bit in case it did roll out or the stitch was loose or something. So here I am kind of anchoring it down. I think I did it a little ahead of where it would actually lay. Just one stitch, and there we go. Let me pull it again. There we go. See? And now from the other side, you won't be able to see it. I ran up thread. And you don't have to cut it and then hope that you didn't cut something important. Because again, pronged rhinestones can be terrifying. So now I'm just going to make that loop again. And like we did earlier, you can catch the loop, pull your needle through it, catch the loop on the other side, pull the needle through, pull it tight. Same thing. Needle through, catch the loop, pull it taut. And then I think this is the third one. Yes, so we're going to pull it through. And then you can either cut it right there, but I like to actually go through the needle into the thread and kind of hide it, and then I will cut it. So that's just me. Just feel it gives me more security. You'll see me do that in a second as I struggle. There you go. There, and then I cut it. But, oh, I guess I did it twice. I really wanted to be sure. So you can do it as many times as you want. For me, apparently... Oh, I see. Okay, I guess I wanted to anchor down the thread here. I was worried. I was very worried about this thread. Oh, man. This dress was beautiful, though. It turned out really pretty. And the fun thing is, even if these pronged rhinestones, if a rhinestone falls out, because the holder for it is metallic, you won't be able to tell. So that's a really, really fun fact. And I think these dresses look absolutely gorgeous on stage. Here we are again, pulling it through. And yeah, I will probably do some double knots at the end. Here we go. Yep, here they are. So again, putting the needle through the hoop. Oh, lost the loops. Lost the loops. There we go. We are going rogue here. And then again, pulling it tight. So here I am making that last stitch I was talking about, where I pull it through just to kind of hide that loose end. And I guess I'm doing it again. Kind of worried. I'm a very nervous person sometimes, so sewing especially, I like to make sure everything's perfect. A little snip, and it's good. There you go. And that is how you do the rhinestone, hiding a thread with prongs. So here we go. Here's a missing one, and I'm going to show you how to just pop them back in. There are 2 prongs on the outside, and they are actually pretty flexible because I believe this is aluminum. It's very soft metal. So you can actually bend those out. Here I'm kind of showing you to bend them out, and I do this off camera with my thumbs because it's kind of insane. Yep, there's one bent out. And then they will just pop out like that. And then you can open up the one that is missing a little more. There's actually a couple missing on this one. But the pink one went here with the pattern. So here we go. Pushing it in and then hold it in place. And you want to make sure those prongs around it are closed. So I'm pushing it back in. Again, it's really, really soft metal. I believe it's aluminum. It's tearing up my thumbs, so it can't be too soft. Just be careful when you do this. So... There are probably better ways to do this with pliers, but hey, I'm all for DIY, you know? I'm all for what's cheap and easy and making things affordable. Now you can see the zipper was poking out, and this was a really quick thing to fix with some hand stitching. I cut the loose threads, and I wanted to see where the zipper would go, so I believe it was supposed to stop at the very end. So I cut those loose threads off, and I tucked in the tail of the zipper. You can see it's outside of the dress, it should be inside. And then I just did some hand stitching around it to secure it in place because I didn't want that falling out. So here I am trying to pull the threads off, moving it up. And this one had a lot of loose threads. So sometimes if you buy a dress on clearance, like I've bought many dresses on clearance from Henry's, Cloud9, out in I believe Ohio. They're wonderful. They have great deals on dresses when they're on clearance. I highly recommend it if you're just getting into pageantry, or if you just want a really beautiful dress for an event, or just wear around the house. Hey, you know, that's always fun too. But the sale dresses or the clearance dresses usually have defects or flaws, or they're discontinuing them or whatnot. So just be cautious when you have them. And I wanted this to not flip up again, so I'm going to go ahead and put a few anchoring stitches in, and then also kind of close up that little gap. And that's just a few hand stitches. I've done this before in a few other of my videos, if you want to watch them for reference. I know I'm trying to think of the very top of my head, the first video I ever posted on sewing, which is the rodeo top I made out of a pair of jeans. The fringe jean top. That's a beautiful top. I actually love that. I should wear it to another rodeo soon. That one has a lot of these fine little details on sewing if you need help there. So go watch that video. Be sure to check it out if you need some extra help. But again, just taking a needle and thread and sewing through it. But I hope you really enjoyed this, and I hope this was helpful. Because one of the things that I love to do as Miss Illinois and beyond my time as Miss Illinois is to show girls that you don't need $1 million to compete in the Miss America opportunity or to compete in any system for that matter. You can feel confident in something that you made yourself or something that wasn't designer. Most of my stuff that I wear as Miss Illinois, I always try to incorporate my own little flair into, and my talent costume, I have always made that myself, and I pride myself on that. So I am super excited for you all to see what I'm putting on the Miss America 2024 stage. And if you're watching this video past Miss America 2024, that is really cool because you know the results and I don't right now while I'm filming it. So you can see here I'm just kind of sewing that piece in and kind of fixing that little hole, that little gap, because I didn't want it to happen again. But this dress, when it was done, was absolutely beautiful and it fit her perfectly. So I'm so happy I was able to alter this for this individual. And again, if you have any questions or any specific alterations you'd like me to show you or walk through, again, I'm not an expert by any means, but I'd be happy to show you any tips and tricks I have for sewing. Or again, if there's something you want me to make, I'm still trying to think of what I should make after Miss America. So let me know in the comments below. A lot of people always ask me, what would you do if you weren't in medical school? And my comment is always fashion. I absolutely love it. I love being able to go into Goodwill and just pick out a bunch of things because the fabric is really pretty and it's an extra large. It's not going to fit me, but I have a vision for it. And actually, before I left for Miss America, I had a huge bag of items from Goodwill that went on clearance, and they were all $2-3 each. I haven't actually gone through them yet and sketched out ideas, but I plan on doing that when I come back. So those are in the back of my mind, and they will be all week. And I am just elated to be able to share my skills with you all, and I sincerely hope that if you're out there, you're watching this, and you're wondering, oh my gosh, I feel like I should maybe put myself out there and maybe go to that job interview or maybe sign up for a different class at college or, you know, whatever, and you don't feel confident enough, that maybe this will help you, give you that little boost of confidence because you learned a new skill today, and that's so exciting. So here we are, kind of finishing up on the zipper. It took me a hot second. I really wanted to show all the sewing for this because this was kind of a nightmare. I realized once I started, like, what the heck was going on with this? So I was kind of sewing it inside out, and then I twisted the zipper around too because I wanted to make sure that, one, that little hole that we saw wasn't going to come back out, But also, I wanted to make sure that the zipper was super secure. So that's incredibly important, that the zipper on the back of a dress where it stops is secure, because you don't want any holes or weird gaps that are happening there, because that's going to bring attention to that immediately when someone sees it. So things that are flush right there, that's very important. And you can also notice that the red that I'm sewing with, it matches the dress pretty well. So when you are going to the store and matching a thread, the best piece of advice I have is to actually take the fabric with you and take a piece of the thread and lay it against the fabric, and it should be invisible. If you can see the thread really well and you're like, oh, it's lighter, darker, immediately your brain goes to one or the other, you know it doesn't match. But when it sits there, you're staring at it, you're like, does it match? Does it not? Usually that means it matches. So if you have to question it for a little bit, it's not really obvious, it matches. It's a safe bet. And even then, from far away, no one's going to be noticing. So just have that confidence when you go to the store either, because I know I always question myself when I go to the store and I'm looking for thread. I'm going to speed up the rest of this to the end so you're able to see it, but I do not have anything after this. The whole dress is complete, and I'm excited that you were able to hear this video and check out a few new skills and tricks for sewing that maybe you didn't know before. And if you did know before, that is awesome. Then maybe comment down below like what you've sewn. So I hope you have the best day, and I'm excited to see what happens with Miss America 2024, and also what you were able to accomplish in this world and what you're able to do sewing wise. So have a great day, guys.